All right, today we're going to be doing a tutorial for the first part of Elise, which goes like this. That's the next section. So let's first begin with the structure, let's first begin with the parts and then we'll work on the structure. We're going to be doing this without the pedal, so I can talk through how legato you want to make everything nice and smooth. But here's our first small chunk, okay? And we're going to have small chunks, and within each chunk there'll be groups. So first chunk is the main little intro. You can use finger 4 or 5 on the E. I like to use 4, but the notes are E, D sharp, E, D sharp, E, B, D, C, A. B, D, C, A. Okay, so there's your first little chunk. When you start, actually, we're going to take out the last note. That'll be the first note of the next chunk. So actually it's, and that's the first chunk. All right, so then we start with A's together. So the next chunk begins with A's. The left hand's going to be taking over for most of the work here. Left hand's going to be playing the underlying chord of A minor, which is A, C, and E, but not as simple as just A, C, E, but kind of in a broken pattern. So when you play the A in the right hand, you're going to start with an A in the left hand, 2 A's below middle C. Finger 5 on this A, then you do 2 on E, then 1 on A, then the right hand comes down to middle C, 1 on middle C, 2 on E, finger 2, finger 4 on A, ring finger, and then your pinky is going to end on B with your left hand pinky on E. Now this is the next chunk, the next starting chunk. So I would just practice from here, right hand thumb on A, left hand pinky on A. That should be your second chunk. So chunk 1 is, chunk 2 is A's together. Make sure you end with your 4th finger on that A to help us with the next chunk. So there's the second chunk. Now here's the third chunk. So right hand finger 5 on this B, and then left hand again drops down to this E, which is 2 E's below middle C. Now the chord here is going to be, the underlying chord is E major, E, G sharp, B, but we're going to be playing E, G sharps, and B kind of across the piano as we walk up. So B in the right hand again, A and E in the left hand on pinky as we walk up. We play them together. Then finger 2 on B. Sorry, no, not finger 2 on B, sorry. Octave, thumb on E. Then you cross your third finger to B to G sharp. And the right hand, E, G sharp, and then your 4th finger on B. Important to end with your 4th finger again on B for this chunk. So this is your third chunk, starting with pinky on B, left hand pinky on E, 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 G sharp, E, G sharp, B. All right, that's your third chunk. Let's combine them. I'm going to stop in between each chunk so that you know how to practice. You should be practicing each chunk repeatedly. So chunk 1 would be, repeat that. Okay, then the second chunk, then your third chunk. Ending with your 4th finger on B there. Then your 4th and final chunk for the group, finger 5 on C, finger 5 on A, we're going back to the first chord, the A minor chord that we had in the second chunk. It's and then E in the left, finger 2 on E, and then A, and then E. That's it. So the fourth and final chunk of this group is, again, C in the right hand, here's middle C, so you're an octave above, and then 2 A's below middle C, and we play them together. And there's your final chunk for the group. Once you get comfortable with each group comfortably on their own, then you can combine them all together. Group 1, chunk 2, chunk 3, chunk 4. Now I'm stopping at the end of each chunk. Eventually those chunks will go away. Here's the entire first chunk. Okay, now that's group 1. Group 2 is going to start off with the exact same chunks as the first group. So it's going to start off with the first chunk. The second chunk's exactly the same here. The third chunk is exactly the same. Well, no, not exactly the same. So this is where it changes, sorry. You do E, E, G sharp, and then it ends differently. It does D, C, B, A. D, C, B, A. Instead of E, G sharp, B, C, it's D, C, B, A. D, C, B, A. This is the entire second group, so it ends differently than the first group we covered a minute ago. Chunk 1, chunk 2. Chunk 3 is a bit different. D, C, B, and then when you play the A here, you go back to A in the left hand, and you play these A's together, A, E, A. And that's the entire second group, or the end of the second group. So here's the entire second group. It goes like this. All right, so we have group 1, group 2. They are almost exactly the same, they just end differently. So structurally, you'd want to play group 1, group 2, group 1, group 2, like this. Group 2. Group 1. Sorry. Group 2. All right, now we're going to get into the third group. Third group, I'm going to go through the right hand first. B, C, D, E, G, F, E, D, F, E, D, C, E, D, C, B. Now we're going to talk through patterns there, because actually it's good to group each of those little notes into chunks. So the first chunk is thumb on B, B, C, D, E. Sometimes you just play all 4 notes so you can kind of visualize what notes you're playing. Then the next group would be B, F, E, D. I'm grouping these 3 because I'm starting on G. You're going up almost an octave. We're going up a 7th to F. So it's 1 note shy of an 8th, an octave. And then we walk it down 2 more notes. So now if you take this exact pattern and shift every single white key down 1, you're going to be playing the next part, which is instead of starting on G, we start on F. We go almost an octave. We go 7th to E and walk it down 2 more notes. And then if we do that again, we bring instead of starting on F, we now start on E. We go almost up an octave. We go up a 7th to D and then walk down 2 more notes. That completes the entire group here in the right hand. B, C, D, E. Now, so chunk those like this. Then the next root, and bring everything down a white key and another white key. It kind of helps you to visualize where the notes go, because then you can chunk it. Watch, chunk the first one, the next one, Next one. Chunk. So that's a good way of practicing chunks to help you visualize, to memorize. Okay, let's go to the left hand. We're just going to go over the chords here as the right hand comes in. Left hand is playing 4 chords. The first one is C major. We're going to the relative major of A minor, C major. The underlying chord is C major, but we're not playing it like this. We're playing it a bit more spread apart. It's C, G, C, root 5th root. Pinky on C, 2 on A, G, 1 on C. C, G, C. Then the next chord, G major, again with kind of a different pattern, but G, G, cross your third finger over to G, to B, excuse me, G, G, B. And then the next chunk is A, E, A minor, A, E, A, E, A, and then just an E by itself. All right, so how do they combine? I'll do that left hand again. C, G, C, G, G, B, A, E, A, E. Okay, now let's combine the hands. Right hand, thumb on B. This is the B above middle C. Here's middle C. B, C, D. When you play the E, you start the left hand on C major, C, G, C. So you play the whole pattern of the left hand, the whole chunk there. C, G, C. Then the right hand takes over again and plays G, F, E. When you play the last note there, D, the left hand goes to G major, G, G, B. Then when you go to the next chunk, the right hand takes over, F, E, D. When you play the C here, the left hand goes to the next chord, which is A minor, A, E, A. Then E by itself, D, C, and when you play the B, you do this low E in the left hand. And that's the end of the chunk. So played very slowly. B, C, D together. G, F, E together. F, E, D together. E, D, C together. That's the entire third chunk. All right. So after this, we have a bunch of E's in this. Here's our next group. The next group is a bunch of E's. So from here, this is actually the starting point of our next group. We do E and B, and then again, no pedaling yet, but we do it and a bunch of E's. E, and the E above middle C, and the same E with your left hand, and the right hand shifts up to this E, then back down to this E, then back up to what you did, this higher E, and then the left hand plays the same E, and then a high E. So let's combine all that together. Make sure you're putting your third finger on this B, so we're starting with the right finger in the chunk, in the group, excuse me. So you do B with an E, and then a bunch of E's. E, E, same E, shift up, back to this E, shift back up, left hand uses it to play the same note, and then E again. I would recommend you just watch that section just to get the pattern, but okay, that's the chunk there. The entire fourth group, we'll call it. Now, let's play from the top to where we are now. So we have, actually, no, we'll do all the structure later. Okay, so right now we've just played our entire, here's groups 3 and 4. Group 3. Sorry. E. All right, now from this high E, the left hand is going to start we're going to go back to the very beginning seemingly, which is right? But with a lot more of these little lead-ins of the D sharp to the E. So we do this E and then F sharp or D sharp E, D sharp E, D sharp E. We're going to do the D sharp E 6 times. Watch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And go back to our first group. So this time, so So yeah, I would start from this, the E's, and then count 1, and then the right hand takes over right away. So the left hand starts, watch. Left hand starts, but then the right hand can take over right away. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then we go back to group 1 from the beginning. Group 2. And then instead of repeating group 1 and 2 like we did at the beginning, then you go to group 3 again, which is... So now this might be getting confusing as to like, okay, what order do I go in? So let's recap now now that you have all the parts that you need, or all the groups to be able to play the entire first part, the entire first movement. Let's just talk about the structure now. So we're going to start from the very beginning, and I'll walk you through the entire structure. So we had group 1. Group 2. Group 1 again. Group 2. Group 3. Group 4. Group 1 with more of these, 6 of these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1. Group 2. Group 3. Group 4. Back to the beginning, group 1 with the longer 6s. Group 1. Group 2. Group 3. Group 2, that's it. You just end with group 2. Okay. So the first thing you want to do is assign a name to each group and play the group together, okay? And then you can structure it. Again, I'll just say the groups in order. Group 1, 2, 1. I'll go a little slower. You can write these down. Group 1, group 2. Group 1, group 2. Group 3, group 4. Back to the beginning, group 1, and with a longer intro, 6 of these. Group 1, group 2, group 3, group 4. Back to the intro, back to 1 with the longer intro. 1, 2, 3, 4. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, or 1, 2, 3, 4. Hopefully that makes sense. I'll go back and watch through each group, you'll see, and you can just combine that pattern. And don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.